Well, we continue to update you on the situation that has been developing overnight. Operation Sindoor being launched by the Indian Armed Forces, targeting 9 sites. These are 9 sites that are not affiliated to officially the Pakistan military or Pakistan civilian infrastructure. These are terror camps run by organizations like the LAT, the Jaish, etc., that have been targeted, and that is the statement that's come in from the Indian Armed Forces. We will, of course, hear from them for a more detailed view and perspective on Operation Sindoor in a short while from now. We're also at this point in time seeing reactions coming in from various quarters. You've seen Secretary Rubio as well as President Trump say that they are in dialogue with both India and Pakistan, asking for restraint. China has issued a statement as well. The UK has issued an advisory. So there are foreign governments responding to the situation. Israel coming out very unequivocally in support of India's operation, saying that terror should have no place to hide. Joining us now to understand the impact and the implications of Operation Sindoor, Manjeev Singh Puri, Adjunct Distinguished Fellow at Gateway House and former diplomat. Also with us, Deepak Bhojwani, the former Indian ambassador to Latin America. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us here on the program. Mr. Puri, if I could start by asking you, Operation Sindoor launched overnight, targeting 9 specific sites in Pakistan-Occupied Kashmir and in Pakistan. The significance of the operation and the significance of the sites that have been targeted by India.
Shreen, good morning to you. First of all, I must say, this was expected and it was the need of the hour. It was necessary for India to respond to Pakistan, which had carried out a heinous terror attack within India and disrupted a life for common people who have come from across the country. Absolutely right. Look, in my opinion, we have done the right thing. We have targeted areas which are associated with terror, which are associated with terrorist camps. We've been clear that we have avoided Pakistani civilian areas and even their military. We've done this in a precision manner and, as the press statement says, in a non-escalatory manner, which is why the rest of the world has said, look, you have a right to be able to take action against what was done about you. And that is very, very important in what we have stressed. For me, 2 places are particularly important, Bahawalpur and Muridke, because these places are not exactly next to the border where only these LATs, etc., are known camps, forward camps are there, but where fundamental bases are there. So what we've done is right. It gives a strong message to the Pakistanis and, of course, the world, as well as our public, that, look, we are strong, we are determined, and we will give a fitting reply if such kind of things are ever done on the soil of India.
Absolutely, a fitting response there from India. But Mr. Bhojwani, let me bring you into the conversation as well. As we just heard there from Mr. Puri, the significance of the sites that have been targeted as part of Operation Sindoor. But more importantly now, the response that we should be prepared for. Of course, it would be foolish to speculate on how Pakistan intends to respond. But given the political pressure, given the global pressure that is also at this point in time being exerted on Pakistan, we heard from President Trump as well as Secretary Rubio asking for restraint. Do you believe that Pakistan finds itself somewhat boxed in a corner today? They've also got that crucial IMF meeting coming up on the 9th, which will determine in many ways the economic future of Pakistan as well.
Shreen, I think Pakistan has been in kinetic response mode for the last perhaps 2-3 decades. Their sponsorship of terrorism is a known fact. That's why they're on the Financial Action Task Force grey list. They should be on the blacklist in many ways. But the fact of the matter is that they are getting financing from Saudi Arabia, which has given them, I think, billions of dollars in terms of deposits in their treasury. China, of course, which is financing the CPEC, and even other countries. In fact, now the IMF is talking to them also. So the Pakistan keeps slipping out of the net somehow every time we tighten the noose. But the problem is not that. The problem is that even if Pakistan was to develop economically, they have this base, this matrix of terror organizations, which is also fed. And as Ambassador Puri was implying, it's basically state-sponsored. So we have to address that issue. And what's happened, as we see through this century, at least 2008, 2016, 2019, our response now has become asymmetric. Because while they do things clandestinely, we believe we have the right. And in fact, it seems that implicitly the international community has accepted that the right of hot pursuit and the right even of retaliation of the sort we've done today, we did in Balakot, etc., are accepted. And I think we should take our government at its word when it says we were not targeting neither civilians nor Pakistan military. If there is collateral damage at all, that's the fault of the terrorists who are housed there, and particularly deep inside Punjab. So I think what we've done could be called fairly surgical. Of course, the Pakistan Information Minister Tarar was claiming on BBC earlier this morning that they've shot down 3 of our planes and a drone. We've denied that. And there's a briefing to be done shortly by the MEA and the MOD. Let's see what we get from there.
Yes, we are awaiting clarity from the MOD as well as the MEA. And of course, since morning, the Indian side has refuted those claims that have been made by ministers of the Pakistan government claiming that the Indian Air Force planes have been shot down. That has been refuted by the Indian government so far. Ambassador K.C. Singh also with us. Ambassador Singh, appreciate you joining us. Both Ambassador Puri as well as Mr. Bhojwani there talking about the message that this Operation Sindoor sends out, as well as the global response and the global reaction. Do you believe that, given the fact that India has gone after very specific sites, 9 sites specifically, and has called its response non-escalatory, will make it harder for Pakistan to try and gather any kind of global support at this point in time?
I think globally it's an ideal time to be taking action like this because President Trump has created enough disruption and distraction. So Europeans are busy. Germans spent the whole of yesterday electing a chancellor. Canadian Prime Minister ticked off the president. So, all kinds of things are happening. But we must remember that Pakistan, we shouldn't just write it off because it's not a question. We always make a mistake between equating Pakistan with Pakistan's army. Pakistan's economy may be going downhill. Pakistan may be in economic distress. Pakistan army is in no distress. It's an army that controls the country, not the country controlling the army. And that's why that intemperate lecture by the army chief over 2 weeks ago, which was a signal that something was afoot and we should have been prepared for it. But I think what India has done, number one, having set a certain bar after Balakot, there's no way that India could not have reacted, and particularly a BJP-led government. It was expected that there will be a kinetic response. But we've combined it also with the putting Indus Water Treaty into abeyance, and also by using the gates of the rivers to control the water and then release them. So water has also become a weapon at a time that Pakistan requires. We can't completely stop the flow because they are run-of-river projects, but we can always reduce the flow and then increase it and cause disruption in Pakistan. So they have to take a call. And the other thing is that I don't think Indian planes, according to international reports, Indian planes did not cross the LOC or the Indian border. And that's why you'll see all the targets are within about 100, 120 kilometers of the border or the line of control. So what does Pakistan do? Now, Pakistan normally retaliates the same way. We've not attacked a military target. What target will they attack here where there are terrorists attacking Pakistan? We don't have terrorists attacking Pakistan. But the only problem is that they will go on a PR thing. Because in Muridke, their leadership is not there. LET is using a front of schools, hospitals, charitable organizations. We might have taken out their headquarters, but they'll make it a big case of innocents getting killed, civilians getting killed. Similarly, in Bahawalpur, Jaish-e-Mohammed is no longer. They were, in any case, they had moved out of there, but they would have emptied out. But nevertheless, they will have basic workers and headquarters. And I think an attack, even if it has limited loss in terms of life or buildings, a signal was important to send to these terrorist organizations that you can't hide in Pakistan behind charities and charitable organizations with the protection of the Pakistani army, and India will not come and touch you. Remember, even in during Balakot, we did cross the international border because Balakot is not in POK, but that was still in areas contiguous to Kashmir. This time, it's plain and simple. in the heart of Pakistan. Now, let's see what they do. And that is why I think India is expecting a reaction in the border areas within 100 odd kilometers. That's why
Yes.
we stopped the flights in Chandigarh and Rajasthan, Srinagar, and so on and so forth. And then India will have to take a call because you have to be ready for an escalatory response depending on what Pakistan does. Internationally, I don't see any problem. The world is distracted. And with Trumpian rules of the powerful deciding, if he's saying Russia did not attack Ukraine, Ukraine attacked Russia, he's got a history all topsy-turvy. He thinks that Pakistan was created 1500 years ago. So you're dealing with a person who's completely mixed up on history, current relations, international relations. So keep him humored. I think he'll keep out of it.
Gentlemen, very important insights coming in. But Mr. Puri, if I could come back to you, one, of course, is what we're seeing happen in areas like Poonch, etc. And as per Indian Army sources, 8 civilian casualties being reported so far, 2 injured. What would you expect, at least along the border areas, as a response from Pakistan over the next few days?
Shreen, look, I have no doubt that the Pakistanis will respond in terms of shelling and so on and so forth. I am not so sure about their undertaking sort of surgical strikes or this kind of action within India, distance away from the border. I'll tell you why I think so. You know, there was a need for us to retaliate in the way we did, also in terms of the domestic political opinion. In Pakistan, the opinion which is being created there is that, you know, we are being unfairly targeted. They have detracted from the fact that they were the source of the terrorist act insofar as their own people are concerned. Secondly, let us not be we should be mindful of the fact that the world knows, the world has awoken to this fact, and they are talking in terms of de-escalation, etc. While they may be distracted in other ways, and Ambassador K.C. Singh is absolutely right, the world is in a topsy-turvy state. But the fact of the matter is that we are interested in interacting with them. They have a certain worldview on this entire thing. And so the question of keeping everything measured would be important, which is why we have been very strong in stressing that A, there's been no targeting of civilians, even military facilities, only terrorists, and B, that it is not an escalatory move, but really simply retaliating to what they did, which was an act of terror. This is particularly important. Of course, the rest depends on the Pakistanis. If they escalate, I have little doubt that the Indian armed forces are more than prepared for giving them a bloody nose, which they will remember for a fairly long time. But in that sense, for the moment, the ball is in their court.
The ball is in their court. But, you know, to the point that was being made by Ambassador Singh as well, Mr. Bhojwani, if I could get you to comment on that. The role of the Pakistan Army, as he said, the Pakistan government may find itself in a precarious fiscal position and its economy may be in dire straits, but the Pakistan Army finds itself in no distress. And especially given the kind of commentary that's been coming in from the Pakistan Army officials, you know, do you believe that there is likely to be dissonance between what the government may wish to do and what the Pakistan Army intends to do?
We'll have to see how it plays out, but my feeling personally is that the government will have to go along with what the army says. There's far too much political pressure on them to look strong and to look like they intend to retaliate, even though they may not want to. Of course, they've got more pressure internationally than we do, and that was evident in the recent UN Security Council meeting, where we were not present because they're non-permanent members. They called the meeting, but from today's reports, it appears that they didn't get what they wanted, and a lot of members of the Security Council were questioning them on what they were doing and what they planned to do about LET operations. Now, basically, the Pakistani army is in control of that country. They've proved it time and again, despite the popularity, the apparent obvious popularity that Imran Khan enjoys, and the fact that he should have won the election and been elected. But they managed to keep control of that country against all odds. So they clearly run the show. And this, let's not forget, is an absolute military operation. So there's no question that the civilians will be told to take a back seat, and they'll be told that the army will see what it wants to do. Of course, there will be constraints on the army, not just international. Even the fact that today India is far better prepared than it ever was. Forget about 2008, even then in 2019. We won't be losing any aircraft, as we haven't apparently, if the government is to be believed. And I think the army will have to reconsider anything it might want to do overtly. But that doesn't mean to say they will not continue with their covert operations, which I believe will not stop. Now, that is a longer game. Have to play and bring such pressure to bring on them, to bear on them, that they will have to roll back their support of these elements. While we here in India, in Kashmir, I was there last September, the atmosphere was fantastic. Clearly, there are either cells or rogue elements who have been, of course, sponsored by the Pakistani side, who are doing this on our side, okay? And we also have to keep in mind that there's Pakistani infiltration too. So that, I suspect, is going to continue. And we'll have to play the long game too, but with increasing pressure on Pakistan. And the army will just have to live with it or give up.
Well, the military response aside, Ambassador Singh, what would you expect as we play this out over the short to medium term? What would you now expect as the next steps from India?
So the next steps are you await what Pakistan does. I don't think the Pakistani army will just lump it. They have to retaliate symbolically. There will be a kinetic response. You remember, even in 2019, they supposedly attacked an Indian camp, but didn't actually hit the camp. They hit the outskirts of the camp. So it was a symbolic attack. It's possible that the attack may be more symbolic than real. After all, they can't go after these civilians in the Jammu and Kashmir area. They claim they are their brothers. So where do you attack? You attack into Indian Punjab, Indian Rajasthan. What is the target you choose? There is no one here who is supporting terror in Pakistan. But just to give you an example of the control the Pakistani army has, just about a week ago, their DG ISI has been made their national security advisor. So he is sitting in the cabinet. So they've not even left it to imagination that they control it. The Pakistan PM had gone to the army headquarters for a briefing just a couple of days ago. So I mean, this is an open secret. This is not something which is new. And Sharif is in any case a very weak prime minister, because the real powerful figure is Imran Khan, who's been put in jail by the Pakistan army. And the price for that, price that the Sharifs are paying for being made the prime minister and putting the tiger in the cage, is that they'll do exactly what the army wants. And we have an army chief for a change who appears very bigoted, appears very, very aggressive. And therefore, he'll have to now live up to his image. He'll have to take it to the next step. It's possible that if he's not able to play it well, he gets sacked. And that may be good for India and Pakistan. But at the moment, I think we'll have a chapter or two of this game yet left.
Yes, and of course, at this point in time, the Pakistani army chief, these are comments that are coming in from news agency Reuters, saying that 26 civilians have died and 46 have been injured on account of the Indian army action. There are also comments suggesting that the Pakistan defense minister said that if India halts operations, it will not take retaliatory action. But these are not verified comments. We're still trying to verify where this comment has been made and if at all it is factual or not. There is, of course, as much as military action, there is plenty of action online as well, social media abuzz at this point in time. So we need to verify those comments. But what Reuters is reporting, the Pakistan army chief is saying that the Indian action Operation Sindoor, 26 civilians dead, 46 injured at this point in time. Still waiting for the MEA and the defense press briefing. But gentlemen, thank you very, very much for joining us here this morning. We will, of course, come back to you for more insights as we hear from the government and bring you back on CNBC TV18. But many thanks for joining us here with your views and your perspective on how you expect things to pan out from here. That's the situation at the moment. Standing by for the MEA and defense press briefing. The stock markets at this point are trending lower, but along expected lines. We will